All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really fascinating, kind of unconventional strategy for handling that low level harassment so many of us face in public. The kind that's just so draining. And the key here, it's not about confrontation, it's about confusion.
Yeah, that feeling. I think a lot of us know exactly what that's about, right? You're just minding your own business on a bus, in a store, and then you feel it. That stare. The source material really nails it. That sticky, crawling feeling that just makes your skin prickle. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The usual advice is always just ignore them, walk away, call them out. But what if you're just tired? Like completely emotionally exhausted from this being a part of your daily life? And what if confrontation isn't your thing? Or more importantly, what if it just doesn't feel safe? So that leads us right into our first section. We're going to really define what we're talking about here, this very specific kind of public microaggression that just slowly chips away at your peace of mind.
Okay, so look at this breakdown. This is so important. We're not talking about some overt threat here. We're talking about that death by a thousand cuts kind of harassment, the persistent staring, the comments that are just loud enough for you to hear, the whistling. Any single one might seem like a small thing, but when you add them all up, they create this constant cloud of discomfort that just follows you around and sucks the energy right out of you.
So yeah, if the old methods are just exhausting you, what's the alternative? Well, this is where the idea gets really creative. The source material proposes something pretty radical. Instead of shrinking or getting angry, you flip the script, and you become even weirder than the person bothering you. I know, be weirder sounds kind of crazy, right? But there's a real psychological reason why this works. And to get it, we first have to understand why people do this kind of thing in the first place.
So here's the crucial thing to realize. Most of the time, this kind of low-level harassment isn't actually about attraction. It's about control. It's a subtle power play. The person doing it is looking for a predictable reaction. They want to see you get uncomfortable or scared or annoyed, because that reaction confirms that they got to you, that they have some control over how you feel. And this chart just lays it out so perfectly. Look at this comparison. Their goal is control. Your method is confusion. They expect a predictable reaction. You give them a totally unpredictable disruption. By refusing to play by their rules, you're not just neutralizing the situation, you are actively reclaiming your own energy. The source gives this a great name, psychological judo. It's perfect, right? You're not meeting their force with your own force. Instead, you're using their own energy and their own expectations against them. Your weirdness creates this moment of, cognitive dissonance in their brain. What they're seeing doesn't compute with what they expected. And that little mental glitch is what throws them off balance and makes them back off. The whole thing just stops being rewarding for them. Okay, so that's the theory. That's the why it works. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's open up the tactical weirdness toolkit. The whole process really breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, and this is important, you confirm the target. You make absolutely sure this behavior is intentional and it's directed at you. Second, you prep your mindset, which is maybe the most crucial step we're about to talk about. And finally, you activate weirdness. Time to go. And step 2 is everything. You have to detach emotionally. This is not about expressing your real anger or your real fear. You have to think of it like improv theater. You are an actor stepping into a bizarre role, and your only goal is to play that role so convincingly that the other person, your audience, gets confused and leaves the theater. All right, let's look at your first set of tools. Facial weirdness. These are perfect for tight spaces like a bus or a train because they're subtle but deeply unsettling. I mean, imagine making eye contact and then just widening your eyes and holding that stare without blinking. Or maybe you start to rhythmically scrunch your nose for no reason at all. These actions aren't aggressive, they're just bizarre. And it's that quiet violation of social norms that completely breaks their script and, for once, makes them the uncomfortable one. Now, if the facial expressions aren't cutting it, you can escalate a bit to postural weirdness. Again, the key here is to be eerie, not threatening. Think about a slow, unnaturally stiff neck turn like something from a horror movie, or a sudden, sharp head drop followed by a slow rise. These movements are so far outside what's normal in public that they create an immediate vibe of unpredictability. The harasser can't categorize you anymore, they can't predict your next move, and that uncertainty is what makes them want to disengage and look somewhere else. So what's actually happening in their mind when you do this?
This is where we get to see the power script completely flip. Their first reaction is just simple confusion. This is not the response they expected. They were prepared for fear or annoyance, not whatever this is. Their brain essentially just short circuits. Then, a little moment of doubt creeps in. By being so unreadable, you make them question the whole situation. And suddenly, they aren't the one in control anymore. They're the ones scrambling to figure out what's going on. The focus shifts from you right back onto them. And finally, they disengage. The whole power play depended on getting a predictable emotional reaction from you. When you take that away, the entire thing just becomes awkward and unrewarding. It's just not fun for them anymore. But beyond just stopping the harassment, what's really powerful is the emotional shift this creates for you. You go from being a passive victim of their behavior to becoming the active orchestrator of the interaction. That draining feeling of helplessness can actually transform into a sense of playfulness and control. Ultimately, it's a creative way to preserve your peace and your dignity, all without ever needing to engage in a stressful confrontation. And this brings us to our final and maybe most critical section. This is a tool, and like any tool, it has to be used responsibly and safely. Let me be absolutely clear about this. Your safety is paramount. This strategy is designed for low-level, annoying harassment. It is not for situations where you feel physically threatened or in genuine danger. If at any point the situation escalates, your only goal is to disengage and get to safety. Always, always trust your gut and be aware of your surroundings. And I want to leave you with this final thought from the source because I think it's just brilliant. This strategy shows that empowerment doesn't always have to be a loud confrontation. Sometimes it's a quiet, clever, internal victory. It's a private joke that lets you reclaim your space and walk away with your peace and your energy fully intact.